think he'd bail me out of here. But no. I don't care. No. Yeah, if I had any bread left, man, I wouldn't be here. You think these rich people get thrown in jail like this? They get themselves a smart lawyer, not like that mook from Legal Aid. How come you was crying all night? You gave me a headache.
I don't know what's gonna happen to me.
Well, who the hell does? Hey, honey. Hey, you. I'm talking to you.
What do you want?
What's the problem? You think you're better than us?
What do you want?
I want to invite you to the White House ball. What do you think I want?
Okay. Time for breakfast. Come on, let's move it. Hey, I said it's time for breakfast. You coming?
I'm not hungry.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, she got a little upset after you left, but she's all right. She wouldn't eat, but it hasn't been that long.
Can you release her now?
We'll have to process it.
If it doesn't take too long. She was pretty upset.
A lot of people get upset when they get arrested. Maybe she should learn not to drink while driving. Maybe then she'd keep out of accidents. I'll bring her in. You can talk to her in here.
Thanks.
As the world turns.
Hi.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Hughes.
What was the problem?
No problem. She just wasn't sure she wanted to see you.
Well, may I speak to my client now, please?
Sure.
I'm sorry if you had a bad night.
I'm fine. I'm sorry about the car.
Well, at least nobody was hurt.
Right. I'll count my blessings.
I'll get you out today. Sorry about last night. If it had been your first offense, I think the judge would have been willing to come down.
But it wasn't.
Sheila, there was something I wanted to say to you last night, but I didn't think you were in any condition to listen.
You loaned me your uncle's car. I cracked it up. I'm sorry.
The car was the least of it. You could have gotten yourself killed or hurt someone else. Sheila, I know you were upset yesterday. I'm sorry if I had anything to do with it. But it's no excuse to drive a car when you're drunk.
I'm not making excuses.
Now, you said some things yesterday.
I had a couple of drinks yesterday. I said a lot of things, but I didn't mean them.
Oh, I think you did. Sheila, I know you've had a rough life, but a lot of people have. It's no excuse to justify this type of self-destructive behavior.
Tom, I said I'm not making excuses, and I'm not trying to justify anything either. I simply had too much to drink.
But I don't want this to happen again. Don't you understand? I'm concerned about you. I don't want you to mess up your life.
I'm not going to. And you can tell your uncle I'll pay for the car. What else can I do? Look, I'd just like to get out of here and go home. Now, can you take care of that for me? Or not?
Melinda, would you please put these books out there for me?
Okay, where?
Well, in the travel book section. There are travel books and brochures.
I'm afraid I don't think we'll have enough room.
Oh, don't tell me that. It's got so much work to be done around this place. I've got to make a list.
Can I help?
You sure can. Anything you can think of. Also, I've got to get a carpenter in here to do some work.
What do you want done?
You know, I've been threatening to have a carpenter come in and build shelves. I need more shelves. Shelves in here, shelves out there, and more shelves for travel books.
Well, that'll be a start.
Yeah. Do you, by any chance, happen to know of a good carpenter, kind of inexpensive, reliable?
I'm afraid not.
Do you know that sweet old lady, that Mrs. Chambers, who comes in here? She buys a lot of mystery books.
She's a carpenter?
Get out of here and get to work.
What about Mrs. Chambers?
Well, Mrs. Chambers might know of a carpenter because I do know that she had some beautiful shelves put in her dining room, or was it in her den? In her den in the summertime. And if you'd find out for me, let me know.
Okay.
Fine, good, wonderful.
Let's see. She a carpenter, indeed. So
Oh, Melinda, you can also, take... Well, Joyce.
Hello, Lisa.
I heard you were back in town.
Well, yes. I have an apartment on Grand Avenue. I'm just about settled in there, and... You know, you look nice. I mean, you look very pretty.
Why did you come back?
Look, Lisa, I know how you feel about me. I know that I've hurt a lot of people. I'm not trying to, make excuses for it. But what I'm trying to do, I am trying to make amends if I can.
Why in the world didn't you let us know you were alive?
I was afraid, and I was so ashamed.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. Do you realize what you put Donald through? I mean, if you had any consideration for him whatsoever, you should have at least let him know that you were alive and well. I think that would have been thoughtful of you because he hasn't known how to live his life. He hasn't known how to conduct his life in any form or fashion. And now that you're back, you've really made it difficult for him.
I know. But I've talked to him and I've explained to him I don't want to interfere in his life. Lisa, I want Donald to be happy. Mary, too.
Yeah, he certainly is lucky he found her because I'm telling you, after all he's gone through.
I know.
You know they're going to be married. Is that why you came back here?
Well, no, I don't know. How could I know that?
Well, you could have read it in the paper. Yeah, it was in all the papers. You probably read it in the San Francisco paper when you were out there.
No, I didn't. I didn't know about it until I talked to Nancy.
Oh, well, that must have been a shock.
Hardly, no. I didn't expect Donald to be waiting for me to come back.
All right. Why are you here to see me? I would really like to know. Maybe you want to buy a book. How about a book on criminal law? That might be very interesting to you at this particular point in your life.
I guess you feel I deserve anything you want to say to me.
Well, you know, you almost killed a man. You know, Donald could be dead. He could be a helpless cripple for the rest of his life, too, but he's not.
I was sick.
Well, that's always a good excuse, isn't it?
No, I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm just trying to explain. I was unhappy, I was confused, but mostly I was terribly ill.
I tell you, there's so many people that are unhappy and miserable about things and sick, but they don't go around shooting people.
I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know how to get to you. Don't let me explain it to you. Try to understand. Lisa, I've been under the care of a psychiatrist.
Oh, you've been to a psychiatrist? Wonderful. I'm sure we'll hear a lot about a psychiatrist. You'll have a better idea. Why don't you see a lawyer, a good one, who's going to keep you out of jail? Have you tried to contact Grant? Have you tried to really get a little help from him?
Lisa, you are wrong about me. If I wanted to escape punishment for what I've done, I wouldn't have come back. If I have to go to prison, I'm ready to accept that.
Do you think that by going to prison, that is going to help all the people you've hurt? Is that your idea of making amends?
And what do you think I should do?
Oh, I think you should leave town. In fact, I think that'd be a jolly good idea for you to get out of town.
Not everyone is as unforgiving as you are.
Well, I happen to know you very well, and I know that you do not, and you never have had a conscience, and you do not care about anybody but yourself, Joyce.
That was true once. It's not true anymore. Now, why Why are you looking at me like that?
I just don't understand how you could possibly have the nerve to come back to town.
Why? Because I can't run forever.
Well, you do sound different and act that way and talk differently.
I am different.
No, you're not. You're just clever. And you always have been clever. And you have never fooled me, and you never will. Never.
There's obviously nothing I can say to you.
Bob, would you explain something to me?
What's that, Dad?
Why would Hollister want to buy our land?
Oh, Chris, now that's beautiful property out there with that running stream and the hills.
Well, that's all true, Mom, but I know what Dad's saying. You know, we've never gotten a decent return from that property. You can't farm it. It's too far out to build on. The most we've ever gotten from it has come from leasing the grazing rights to old Sam Edmonton.
By the way, that lease is up this year and he doesn't want to renew it.
Which means the land won't even earn the property taxes now.
Hollister wants to use the property for raising quarter horses. He says there's enough good pasture out there to graze them.
How do you feel about this, Dad?
Well, I don't know. You know, Pa loved that place. And it's always meant a great deal to me to know that that beautiful piece of property, rugged and unspoiled, peaceful, belonged to the family. But on the other hand, when was the last time any one of us has been out there?
Dad, I've been out there, and it's still beautiful.
Well, I haven't been out there in so long, I can't tell you.
Well, it's true we don't use it much anymore, but that could change. Our grandchildren, and maybe we'll have some more grandchildren, and that might turn out to be very valuable to them someday.
Honey, that's true, but you got to balance that against some other things, you know. If we keep that property, no income, we pay taxes on it, maybe this is a luxury that we can't afford or shouldn't afford.
Well, I'm as concerned about the children in the family as anyone. You know, I want to adopt Teddy, and that means I'll have a son old enough to ride. But it seems to me that if we get a good price for the land, and we don't have to pay taxes on it anymore, we'll be able to do more for the children with the savings than we will with that land.
Well, son, I guess we know how you feel about it.
Yes. I'm for selling it if we get a good price. How about you, Dad?
Well, I'm inclined to go along with you. I just don't want to see your mother unhappy about it.
Oh, I don't know what to say. Land like that is irreplaceable.
Mom, can I give you an argument?
By all means.
Well, I think the land is very beautiful, too. And I know we all have a very special feeling because of Grandpa. And I wouldn't want to sell the land to anybody that was going to subdivide it and put a string of taco stands on the road.
Well, that's a relief anyway.
Well, now, I'm serious about this. Let's consider who the buyer is. Hollister has a family that has roots in this town, and he loves the land. Lisa told Bob that he appreciates its beauty as much as anybody. And raising horses on that land, what better use could you put that land to?
Well, that's true.
I mean, actually, he would make better use of that land than we're making of it right now.
Bob, you haven't said anything.
I just have a gut feeling that we shouldn't sell it.
Well, gut feelings can mean something. Can you elaborate on that?
I mean, it's no big argument. It's just this family's owned that property for a long time. Once we sell it, that's it. Maybe someday it will be useful.
Oh, come on, Bob. We've had that property for a long time. Hasn't been useful yet.
I can't argue with you, Donald. I guess it's just that I don't want to sell it. But if the rest of you feel that way...
Look, what do you say to this? What do you say that we all agree on very generous terms for the sale? I mean, terms that would more than compensate for the value of the land. Then it would be up to Hollister. If he meets the terms, we sell. If not...
Well, make him tough. Maybe he'll come to his senses.
Okay, are we agreed?
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, Joyce.
Oh, Bob.
Come on in.
Thank you. I guess Donald told you that I'm back in town.
Yes, he did. Joyce, I'm very glad that you're all right.
Thank you. Oh, well, anyway, I don't want to take up much of your time. No, I just came by to give you this. Bob, that's for the car.
The car?
Mm-hmm.
Joyce, the insurance company paid me for the car. I really don't want this.
Okay. Finding it very difficult to pay back debts.
Sometimes it is.
I know there are some people that will never trust me again. They'll never believe me. Not that I blame them. I'd better go now.
No, wait. I'm glad you stopped by because I was going to call you today. Do you have a minute?
Yes, I guess so.
Well, good. I've been talking to Donald. Of course, you must know how relieved he is that you're all right. But he is faced with some decisions that have to be made.
I know.
You know he plans to marry Mary.
Yes, I talked to him. Bob, I've told Donald I haven't come back to interfere in his plans. I really want Don to be happy. And I am so grateful that he's well.
He told me that you've been living in San Francisco and you were being treated by a psychiatrist there.
Yes.
He'd like to know more about that.
Oh, because he thinks I'm lying.
Joyce, I didn't say that. He just wants to be sure that you've overcome some of the problems that you've had.
I understand. He wants to know if I've really changed.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know, Bob. I don't know how I can prove that. All I can do is to ask all of you to give me a chance.
If it's all right with you, I'd like to talk to the psychiatrist who treated you. Would you object if I called him?
Well, Bob, I don't know. I mean, I have to think about it because everything I told Dr. I mean, it was very personal. I was very open with him. Totally.
I'm sure, and I don't want to pry in your life. I'd just like to know the nature of the treatment.
Everything I told him was privileged information.
Will you call him and give him permission to talk to me?
Well, Bob, I have to think about it.
Joyce, put yourself in Donald's place. And I think you can understand why.
Well, yes, maybe so.
Will you call me?
Yes, of course. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Steele. This is Joyce Hughes.
Hello, Joyce. Well, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm back in Oakdale. I've been here a few days. I saw my little boy, Teddy. My husband, everyone.
Are you all right?
Yes, I am. I really am all right. I mean, it wasn't easy coming back here facing everyone. But I do know that it was the right decision now. However, I'm calling you because my husband's brother, he's a doctor, Dr. Robert Hughes, will be calling you.
What for?
He wants to verify that I've been in treatment with you this past year.
I see. Well, I'll be glad to tell him.
Doctor, I don't want you to go into anything that I've told you, especially at North Beach. I don't want them to know anything about that.
Everything you told me is privileged information, Joyce. I certainly won't discuss anything you don't want me to.
It's important to me that you don't. They wouldn't understand. I want to be able to hold my head up in this town. And if they knew...
Well, then I won't discuss it with them. It's your decision.
Thank you. Well, goodbye, Dr. Steele.
Goodbye, Joyce. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, I think before Mr. Hollister comes in, we better see if we're in full agreement on this. Now, are these terms that we've outlined acceptable to each of you?
May I look at them again, Dan?
Sure can.
I just hope Hollister doesn't back out.
Well, if he does, that'll decide it. And I don't think Bob would be unhappy if it turned out that way.
Well, Don, I can see you're in favor of it.
Yes.
Nancy?
I guess.
Well, I am too. If Hollister meets our terms and buys this property, at least it's one less complication in our lives. Bob?
If he agrees to the terms, I'll go along with it.
Well, let's see what Mr. Hollister has to say about all of this. Betty, would you ask Mr. Hollister to come in, please? Thank you. Listen, if he turns us down, maybe we can get him interested in the grazing rights.
May come to that, too.
Okay. Come in, Brad. I'd like you to meet my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Hughes, Brad Hollister, my brother Donald.
Know you.
Nice to know you.
Please sit down.
Hello, Brad.
Hello. Nice to meet all of you.
Have a seat. Thank you. Dad, why don't you take over?
All right, Mr. Hollister, I'm sure that Lisa's told you that this property was in our family for a great many years. In fact, my father bought it when I was a small boy. So, we have had quite a debate regarding whether we want to sell it or not, but we have come up with some terms which are acceptable to us, and if they are acceptable to you, then we have a deal. You think that that is a fair price there?
Well, I can't argue with you. It's just a question of how much I can raise. This is a little higher than I had expected. I think I can raise it. I think my brother would be willing to help me. The taxes, what about the taxes?
Oh, they're on the first page.
Yeah, they'll be prorated, of course. That's standard procedure.
And the right-of-way, is there any problem with that?
No, no problem. That just has to be clarified is all.
I see. Well, as long as there's no real problem then. The mineral rights.
Yes, you get full mineral rights.
It's fine. Well, all right, I'll accept this. It's a deal.
We will, of course, want to bind it.
Of course. Well, where do I sign?
There on the form there. It's marked out.
Oh, yes, thanks. Thank you. And I can write you a check for that binder?
Uh-huh.
Let me see, I have one here.
Make out the check to Christopher Hughes.
Okay.
Mr. Hollister, I hope you don't mind if one day we all come out to look at your horses.
No, I'd like that very much.
Now, Brad, we haven't put it in writing, but we want your solemn promise that you won't put up any taco stands along the road.
No taco stands. You can put that in writing, I promise you. I'm not going to change that beautiful land a bit. I like it fine just the way it is.